Hello, friendly folks of YouTube. I'm Angelina Mia, and today we will be talking about My Babysitter's a Vampire. This series branched off My Babysitter's a Vampire, the movie, which originally came out in 2010. Disney Channel showed it during like the spooky Halloween season, and you know I was watching it. And since the movie was well received, they were able to produce the series of My Babysitter's a Vampire, which we will be talking about today, that aired in 2011. We have Ethan, who is played by Matthew Knight, and is that the kid from Gooby?
What about him?
Gooby!
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 Other than him being the kid from Gooby, which is honestly amazing, I'm starstruck. Who? Ethan is supposed to be the like geek or nerd of the group, but he also, in this show being supernatural that it is, he has the ability to see visions. Then we have Benny, who is played by Atticus Mitchell, and Benny is Ethan's best friend. And if you've ever seen Teen Wolf, these two kind of have the same chemistry that Styles and Scott have. You can't tell me that they don't. Then we have Erica, who is played by Kate Todd, and she was the nerd turned hot, rebellious, edgy vampire. And we also have Rory, who is played by Cameron Kennedy, and his character was basically the main like comedic relief of the show. He was also a nerd turned just vampire, but still a nerd. But like, we're all nerds at heart. I'm a nerd, I'm a geek, I know it. And last but not least, we have Sarah, who is played by Vanessa Morgan. And if you know who she is also in Riverdale. Keep that in mind for later. Now let's talk about the series. I would just like to give a little disclaimer. There will be spoilers, and also I will not be talking about the movie, just the series itself. I will also not be talking about the first episode of the series because Alex Myers already has a very funny video talking about that I would highly recommend you watching. And I'm assuming that if you're even watching this video, that you probably have seen My Babysitter's a Vampire and you're like, let's see what this video is about. So thank you for being here, and please, if you do like this video, I don't know, there's a button for it. You could press it, or don't, but like, it would be nice. You can also subscribe if you want. There are more show and movies analysis. I really don't know. I don't know how to English. That will come soon. So let's talk about season 1, episode 2, called 3 Cheers for Evil. We start out the episode with Erica and Sarah like talking about joining the cheer squad, and Erica does. Sarah's kind of worried because the main cheerleaders used to bully her, and Ethan bumps into Erica and has a vision about how they bullied her. The head cheerleader, Stephanie, bullied her the most, and in the vision, Stephanie steps on Erica's glasses. And me, being a person who wears glasses all the time to like see, I was very offended by that. Like, do you know how expensive glasses can be? And like, what did the glasses ever do to you? So I'm on Team Erica. You get that revenge. After Ethan has this vision, him and Benny decide to dress up as cheerleaders so that they could keep an eye on Sarah while also checking out on the cheerleaders. I would also like to mention that my intention for adding this in is not to make fun of what they're wearing or what they're doing or like any of that. You know, if you just want to embrace your inner beauty, whether that being in more masculine or feminine clothing, you do whatever. You be you. As long as you don't hurt yourself or others, I'm all for it. We see that they're in disguise, and they of course have to choose names for themselves. And let me just show you the clip of what they choose for their names.
Hi, I'm
Betty, and this is Veronica. Sweet.
Coincidence? I think not. This show can predict the future. That's just one of so many reasons why this show is amazing. Ethan points out something. Him and Benny beat 40 other people onto this cheerleading squad because Benny used some sort of like magical spell for them to like get in the squad. But my question is, how did all those people try out? And like everyone in the squad, even like the head cheerleader, isn't that great at cheerleading. Let me tell you, those front kicks are just not it. Not to brag or anything, but I was a cheerleader in 8th grade and quit 3/4 of the way through, so I know my stuff. And that stuff right there, it ain't it. Ethan has another vision, and he sees that the audience in the pep rally that they're gonna be performing in is like fainting and what he assumes is losing their souls or something like that. And he also sees that Erica is fainting or passing out. Ethan and Benny finally figure out that Stephanie is a witch and that the vision that he had before was hers. It took them long enough. Like, did they not see the signs? First off, she literally used her powers in front of everyone in the cafeteria. And also, she held her pom-poms like this. Like, who holds their pom-poms like this? I brought a little prop. And you know that if anyone holds something like this, then that automatically makes them evil. There is a sleepover and all the cheerleaders are still wearing their cheerleading outfit. This is a sleepover. Wear your PJs. Be comfy. Sarah's acting a bit odd. She's acting like a quote-unquote stereotypical girl.
Hi, gals. Nice hair. Oh my gosh. Cheerleader sleepovers are so fun. And later on, we're gonna give each other mani-pedis.
Make Sundays and do each other's hair. Benny.
Yes!
I would like to say, speaking as someone who identifies as a girl, that that's not all I think about. I'm not trying to be those, I'm not like other girls, those, that genre, that's not me. I do enjoy a nice mani-pedi or doing my hair or just any, like, self-care. Like anyone would, and anyone could. But I understand why she's acting like this. She's supposed to be under this spell that Stephanie put her under, which isn't that great of a spell. Like, why waste your time and magic on that?
Let's have a pillow fight!
I love this PG pillow fight scene. Oh, I forgot to mention that this show was in fact the first PG show that Disney Channel ever aired, because everything else was like TVG or TV7. But this was the first PG show. And it makes sense because there were some episodes that like kind of did scare me when I was little, and still to this day I like won't watch, but it makes sense. Ethan also says in this PG pillow fight that this is the best moment of his life. First off, you saved a whole town in the first movie. Secondly, you have visions that you get, which is super rad. And third off, you were in Gooby. How is this the best moment of your life? I think that you need to reprioritize that list. Gooby, of course, being at the top. Like, I know that's not this universe, but like, it should still count. I don't know what universe Gooby was in, but I would not be surprised if it was in this one. I think he is, in fact, the scariest, most supernatural being that ever existed. So that makes sense why he should be in this universe too. The next morning, Benny's grandma comes over and she coincidentally overhears that the cheerleaders came over the night before and just so happens to bring magical pom-poms for them so that Ethan and Benny can be protected. And she also so happens to bring a yearbook and talks about this one girl who always wanted to be on the cheerleading team and who is filled with bitterness. I wonder who that may be.
Stephanie?
What? Stephanie? Oh my god, I had no idea. This show, but I love it so much. I love this show so much, even though the characters are kind of oblivious, but I love it. Benny notices that there's a symbol next to Stephanie's signature, which is the sign for immortality, which is what she's doing, how she stayed young all this time. But my question is, why did she stay young for all these years? Just to stay on not that great of a cheerleading team? I see no final or grand goal. I don't see it. Like, yeah, she'll be immortal, but what then? Will she rule the town? Will she take over? Will she try to be a competitive cheerleader? What's her goal? I just see not that great of a plan. Then Ethan and Benny use the magical pom-poms that the grandma gave them earlier to take Sarah out of the trance that she was in. So then Sarah stepped out of the star and it broke the spell, and then Stephanie was turned back into what her actual age was. And then that happens, but instead of like just going outside and trying to find some other supernatural being or thing that could have helped her, which probably would have taken like 2 seconds in this town, she is a lunch lady? There was a whole audience, the whole cheerleading team. They all saw what happened to her, but she stayed at the school as a lunch lady. So many questions. But when I was little, I didn't have this many questions. I just went with it. I think that's what you just have to do with the show. You just gotta go with it. Go with the flow. And I will, because I still love the show. Ooh, that rhymed. This show is so confusing, and everyone in it is so oblivious, but I love it. I just can't help but love it. I'm assuming that you who's watching probably clicked on this video because you also love this show, and that's just one episode of many that is just so funny and amazing. And then as we keep going on in this season, they fight ghosts, werewolves, vampire hunters, spooky vines, and zombies. And then we get to the season finale, which is called Jesse's Girl. At the start of this episode, Erica is walking around trying to find some food, and then she stumbles upon a familiar face that we won't find out until later. I wonder who it may be. Sarah has been struggling with the idea that she's gonna be a vampire for the rest of her life, but she still is a fledgling, meaning that she's like not completely a full vampire. All she wants is just to be a normal girl and pass high school, hang out with her friends, have a good time, but she doesn't believe this will ever happen.
I'm gonna be 17 forever.
She might be 17 forever. The edge of 17 who? I think that's what it really means to be living on the edge. Thank you. Later, Ethan gets a vision when he touches Sarah, and he sees her walking through fog, then cuts to her with her fangs out with a bloody mouth. He assumes that she's somehow gonna be a full vampire because she has to suck someone's blood to become a full vampire, but she doesn't want that. Sarah is walking home alone, and she has her eyes covered by someone, which would be terrifying if I'm being honest. And that someone is Jesse. He was the main antagonist in the movie and the person who turned Sarah into a vampire. He's weak and he wants Sarah to become a full vampire. We move on and Ethan's trying to find something to wear to the dance. Then he found the cumulanimus? The cumulanimus? The human animals? I don't know how to pronounce that. We'll just call the box. He found the box thing, and that's where Benny hid it before. When Ethan finds the box, he has a vision of Jesse standing on top of a pile of dirt where the box thing used to be buried. They somehow let out Jesse when they were trying to capture a spirit possessing Sarah in a previous episode. They finally meet Jesse at the dance and the whole squad's there, but Jesse also has backup. He has 2 other vampires that took like 2 seconds to kill off. So it wasn't that great of backup. Jesse has Erica in this trance thing, meaning that he isn't as weak as they originally thought. They have this whole fight scene, and then Jesse eventually gets Ethan and then sucks out his blood, which means that Sarah would have to try to take out the venom, which would turn her into a full vampire, and she did that. But what confuses me the most is that if Erica was right there and knew that they needed to get the venom out of Ethan, couldn't she have just taken one for the team? Come on, Erica. And then they end off the episode with Erica, Sarah, and Rory flying off into the distance because vampires can do that. The end of season 1. But before I forget, let me actually take a quick thumbnail photo. I'm gonna check this out real quick. Wait, what's that? That's me. What? Who are you and why do you look like me? Because I'm the better version of you? The better version of me? I will admit you do look cool in that leather jacket and sunglasses combo, but it still makes no sense. Is this like that one episode in My Babysitter is a Vampire called Jelly Putty for some odd reason that I don't understand, where there's a magical camera that where you take a picture in it, it creates an evil double of you? Nah. I wouldn't use the word evil, just more glamorous. Or just better version of you. And I will be taking over the rest of the video.
Wait, what?
Hello, it's me, and let's continue on with this video. But before I do, I still need these ridiculous glasses to see. So, we're here in season 2. The group has many more adventures which involve possessed cars, vengeful mirror girls, mummies, sirens, and turning into their Halloween costumes. Now we finally get to the last 2 episodes. You're probably wondering, why are you skipping all of these episodes? They're pretty cool. Well, that would be a lot to talk about. So I'm trying to condense this. Let's talk about season 2, episode 12 and 13. Season 2, episode 12 is called The Date to End All Dates Part 1. Ethan is trying to gain the courage to ask out Sarah on a date. As he's trying to do this, the Vampire Council's trying to get his attention. The first time Rory asked him to go to the Vampire Council, Ethan just blew him off, and then the second time, Rory was allowed to use force, meaning that he had 2 other vampires as backup. Even though the backup vampires are in threat. They don't look threatening at all. Did you see this dude? He goes to the Vampire Council, and the leader of the Vampire Council, Anastasia, who is a literal child, needs his help because since Ethan's a seer, He's able to have visions like we've talked about many times before. One of the elder vampires is like stuck and frozen because he was attacked by this person or thing that they don't know. Ethan has a vision. There's this man with a cloak who's looking for something called the Lucifractor, and he tells that to the council. What he doesn't tell is that there was a symbol on the back of the man's cloak, and also that he's seen this person in the cloak before. If you don't remember, there was this one episode in season 2 called Independence Days where Ethan, Sarah, and Benny are all stuck in their own alternative universes with their biggest fear. And Ethan's was supposed to be being alone, but somehow this person with a cloak got into his alternate universe and was there. And then we never knew what happened after that because they got out like they always do. After that whole vision thing happened, Ethan and Benny are escorted out of the vampire council, but as they're leaving, Sarah bumps into them, and then here comes the time for Ethan to ask Sarah out. He's a bit nervous and it's a bit awkward and everyone's watching, even the vampire.
Can I?
That vampire. He asked her out and she said yes. Whoa, party. Yeah. Ethan's getting ready to go out on his date with Sarah and leaves Benny and Rory to figure out what the symbol that he saw earlier was. As they're researching, they see this map that's just coincidentally placed on the table, and it's identical to the outline that Ethan drew before. That's just this show. What do you expect? Ethan's dad comes over and he's like, oh yeah, that's the Oh No Zone. Interesting name. Yeah, that's the only place our company won't insure. And he starts talking about how there's supernatural things that happen. And I'm so confused how everyone in this town, like I've said so many times, they're so oblivious. Like, hello? Supernatural things happen all the time and then you're confused when they do? Like, come on. I think that's just your fault now. Sarah and Erica are heading over to meet up with Ethan before the date happens. And Sarah is wearing this bracelet that Jesse gave her before. And she said that that was like one of the only good things that came out of that relationship. Ethan gets there and then he touches the bracelet and then he has a vision. He gets a vision of Jesse telling him that him and Ethan need to talk. But Ethan doesn't tell Sarah. He and Rory are looking for the Lucifractor in the Darkwood Hotel, and they find it, but they're still unsure as to what it does. Then all of a sudden, this weird shadowy thing appears and it's starting to chase them. Ethan and Sarah get to the restaurant that Erica suggested. Keep in mind, she is against their whole relationship. Ethan finally tells Sarah about the vision that he had about Jesse, and he touches Sarah's bracelet again. Ethan and Jesse start talking, and Jesse tells about what happened and what is the Lucifractor. Jesse tells Ethan that the Lucifractor can absorb the dark energy that keeps vampires alive. Jesse had a deal with the sorcerer that previously tried to use it, but now that he's banished by the council, he can't help them out. And we also find out that the shadowy figure that was chasing Benny and Rory was actually left by Jesse as sort of a watchdog to protect the Lucifractor. Ethan finds out that the restaurant that they're having their date at is actually a vampire restaurant. Benny and Rory get to the restaurant with the Lucifractor and the shadow follows them. Ethan tries using the Lucifractor to evaporate the shadowy thing and it works, but then Ethan feels the power of the Lucifractor and then does something with it, and then there's a ripple that goes throughout the vampire restaurant, making all the vampires pass out and faint. Then Sarah and Ethan end their date. Then we get to the next day at school. Ethan and Benny are arguing about who should keep the Lucifractor, and then Vice Principal Stern confiscates it from them. They think, oh, it should be safe. The principal wouldn't do anything, right? Or technically the vice principal. Yeah, he wouldn't do anything. Then we find out who the man in the cloak is. Drumroll, please. It's Vice Principal Stern. Oh my god. What? How could this be? I am appalled. Ethan and Benny go to the Vampire Council saying it should be fine. It'll be easy to get back the Lucifractor. It's just in the Vice Principal's office, which we found out was hidden. But they don't know that yet.
The Lucifractor is the greatest threat we vampires have ever faced.
If the Lucifractor is really the biggest threat that vampires are facing, then why are they leaving it up to Benny and Ethan? Like, can't they do something about it? Like, come on. Ethan and Benny? Really? Like, yeah, they defeated most of the things that they've had to face, but they're just all coincidences. Ethan and Benny start looking through Stern's office, but then he catches them. Ethan bumps into Sarah. They're talking about their date and there's some miscommunication. They both think each other didn't enjoy the date even though they both like each other. Yeah. Now we have Benny's brilliant advice.
My experience with girls has taught me anything. It's just walk away and ignore it. That's what they do to me. You're right. My experiences with girls has taught me one thing. It's that you can't get anywhere by talking to them. Never works for me. Makes sense.
I wouldn't recommend the advice that he gives, and I think that's supposed to be the joke of it. But also, you know the rule of three? Any theater people out there, there's only 2 pieces of advice. The joke needs a third one to be complete. Sorry, me and my wannabe director-ness. Benny sneaks into Stern's office with a magic ring that he found earlier that can disguise you as another person. He disguises himself as Vice Principal Stern, but then the real Stern finds him. Then the Vice Principal uses magic to make Benny tell him what's going on.
I'm a wizard. We're looking for a magic marble, and Ethan is a seer and has visions.
Benny spills the beans, and then Stern leaves a little spell on Benny. Keep that in mind for later. Ethan tries to find Benny, but then he sees him in an office. Benny hands Ethan a letter, which is actually cursed. Ethan has a vision of Stern talking to him about the Lucifractor and how it used to belong to Stern's family. But then vampires stole it, I guess. And now that he has it, he's gonna take over the town, and we find out that Benny in the office was in fact Stern. Would have guessed it.
Thank you.
But you know, I still love this show even though I could kind of guess every single twist. Well, actually no. But yes. But no. But yeah. Ethan is out of the vision, and that curse that he had makes him see dead people, or dead versions of people that are still living. And if I'm being honest, I was actually kind of scared of the like CGI filter thing that they used for that curse thing when I was little, and still kind of now.
I'm pretty sure I'm fine.
Me being a scaredy cat. But I know I'm a scaredy cat. That's why I don't like watching scary movies. This is the scariest I can get. And Teen Wolf. Ethan's grandma is checking on Ethan's brain and seeing what's going on, and he's under some very strong fear binding. And then she checks the letter that originally made Ethan like that, but when she touches it, Ethan and the grandma have like a shared vision, and she says that Ethan's stronger than her because now the grandma like got stuck and frozen like the elder before. Vice Principal Stern goes to the building where the Vampire Council is and then starts like disintegrating vampires using the lucifractor. Rory and Erica visit the Vampire Council to see what's happening, and they see that they're all packing up. Anastasia, the leader of the Vampire Council, is saying how they'll return after Stern dies since he's mortal. Erica and Rory don't want to go. They want to protect their friends, but then Anastasia puts them under a trance, making them leave. Then I wonder who comes back into the picture. Jesse! He's here to help them defeat Stern, and he starts telling the group how he defeated Stern's great-grandfather?
How did you stop his super great grandfather?
He loved power. He loved to show it off. I let him wipe out most of my flock with the lucifractor while I snuck up behind him and drained him dry. I told you I'd done worse.
Jesse, Ethan, Benny, and Sarah go to the Vampire Council and they find Stern, and before they're able to like fight him, Stern uses the spell that he previously put on Benny so that Benny could use his like warlock witch powers. Did I forget to mention that? Well, I'm mentioning it now. He has powers. Anyway, then Ethan uses a spell that Benny previously sent him after the time that they had to deal with evil, or like I like to say, glamorous Benny, when they had that camera that creates doubles, which I guess is just a coincidence. Sarah and Jesse get to Stern, but then Ethan comes in from behind and gets into Stern's head through his like vision seer powers. Ethan manipulates Stern into transferring the powers of the lucifractor into Stern himself rather than like the object. But then a weird ripple explosion happens, and then Anastasia says this:
Be silent. We're waiting.
Oh hun, you will be waiting for over 10 years.
For what?
Yeah, exactly what?
That.
What's that?
It is done.
What is done?
A nice explosion. Ethan and Benny will be sad if they miss that.
They were a part of that, and we will never know what happened to them. I made a little edit that I feel really portrays how I feel and so many others feel about how this show was left off. Here you go.
Gooby. Get up, 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 Gooby. Get up. Okay.
Will there ever be a season 3 or movie? I'm not sure. So I'm gonna read you something that one of the executive producers, Tim Burns, spoke about My Babysitter's a Vampire. As one of the executive producers and the head writer showrunner of the series, all I can say is that we tried very hard to make a season 3 or a second movie happen. The lucifractor storyline was my idea in the first place, and I did have some solutions in mind for how we would continue the story. I even created a few different scenarios for the second movie, but we had nothing but problems with broadcasters, budgets, and some difficulties keeping the cast together. It's not surprising that such talented young actors want to move on to other things. All I can say is that it was just as sad for us as it was for you to see the series cut short at season 2 cliffhanger. I haven't completely given up hope that the story will continue someday, even if it means doing so with a next generation of characters. It's out of my power, I'm just a writer, but the entire team of writers, actors, and producers who created the show are proud of the series, and it means a great deal that loyal fans like you still keep the flame alive. I wish I had better news, but all I can say is thanks for your support and sorry that we left everyone hanging. If we ever find a way to raise My Babysitter's a Vampire from the grave, I hope you and other loyal fans aren't too old to still enjoy it. I know I will never be too old to enjoy this amazing show, That's the whole reason I made this analysis, because so many people like me love this show, and it was just a part of us, and we're so glad that we were there to experience it. I think what made this show just so amazing is the way it was just so lighthearted, and it never took itself too seriously. Because I feel like a lot of shows nowadays take themselves too seriously. But that's why we love this show. We can joke around, the characters know that some things are a little odd, and it's just all around a good time. I have watched so many of the episodes multiple times for this video, and I would do it again just for my spare time. I love this show, and if there's ever a possibility of another movie or just a nicer conclusion happening, I would be so glad to see it. I think a possible movie idea for the series that would have a more satisfying conclusion is that maybe all of them are like transported into maybe an alternate timeline into the future, which would explain why the humans are older. And for the vampires, since there was a ripple with the whole lucifractor and how it like takes away some of their power or whatever, that could explain why they're also a bit older in this future alternative dimension. And in this hypothetical movie, their goal, they just try to defeat Stern or just the lucifractor or something else in general, and all of them come back together in a group. They solve the problem like they always coincidentally do. They make it back to their original timeline, which is casted with maybe younger actors, and then it's like, woo, yay, we did it, we made it back to our timeline, and then you end it there. I don't think we need another generation. I think this show will work how it is, but just conclude it. That's it. That is my opinion, and that's where I will leave this video off. And also, I'm gonna take these glasses off and put back my groovier glasses. And I wonder how my less cool double is doing. Wait, what happened? Where am I? The better version of me? More like the dumber version of me. And delete. What's happening? What's going on? Oh. Well, hello, I am back. Thank you so much for staying for this very lengthy analysis of My Babysitter's a Vampire. And if you liked it, click the like button. And if you want to subscribe, you can. I'm not stopping you. I'm kind of doing the opposite. So, peace. And thank you. I have more analysis ideas about movies and TV shows for the future. Also, if you have your own opinion about My Babysitter's Vampire, please let me know in the comments down below. Anyways, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for existing. And that's it. Bye.